When local growers put great food on Tennessee tables, that's living green. Tonight on Live Green Tennessee, we revisit the Waters Organic Farm, then we check out a recycling program at Goodwill Industries of Knoxville, and finally we learn about new developments in soil health. All this and more coming up next on Live Green Tennessee.
This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.
Hello, I'm Melinda Kiefer, and I'm proud to bring you stories from across our great state on Live Green Tennessee. Waters Farm is a 100-acre organic farm in Putnam County dedicated to providing the local community with fresh-grown products. Once affiliated with Tennessee Tech University Agriculture Program, the farm is now run by Randy Dodson and his son Nathan, and they have started fall, winter, and spring CSAs. WCTE's Desiree Duncan visited the farm to talk about the importance of organic farming in this day and age.
It originally was a research farm for Tennessee Tech University. What happened was that a fella and his wife inherited the farm from his wife's parents. It was Kermit Lefevre Farm. It was just an old hog farm that had been abandoned, basically. And so the farm got started by Gary and Brenda Waters approaching the university, and then we began to do research and bring students in and had some graduate degree work done on the farm at that time.
I worked at Waters for a few years, and that's how I kind of got into it. It was never an ag major or anything, but I just kind of, that's the work that I love to do, being outside and, you know, working every day with my hands and stuff. It's a really good, fulfilling kind of work.
I'd say probably my inspiration was like 3 or 4 years ago, probably about 4 years ago when I started, I worked a seasonal job in Alaska for a summer job, and really cool community up there, so they had community gardens, and I decided to get my own plot one summer, and I found that very rewarding to grow my own food. So.
University system-wise, organic farming is becoming much more mainstream. And so it was organic research. We looked at compost rates and cover cropping and season extension, and we did a lot of different kinds of research, as much as we possibly could, under a Tennessee Department of Agriculture grant that Dr. Kim Stearman had written.
We compost at the farm. We've got a pretty good sized compost production. Right now we're not using our own compost right now. We're kind of letting it build up and get to the point where we can use it. But we try to use everything from the farm, old plants, you know, tomatoes, any produce that we might have extra that goes into the compost pile. And so that's, I mean, compost is a humongous part of organic farming. You have to build up the soil. The soil is basically key to the success of your farm. So
I would kind of describe sustainable agriculture as something that is good for the earth, you know, something that's not going to be harmful. It's going to prevent, you know, just useless land that's going to be taking up space, basically. And I'd also say part of it is growing healthy food, you know, for people. That, you know, you don't want to be growing a product that's poisoned with, you know, toxic things. So
CSA is community supported agriculture, and you get a weekly produce box every for a certain number of weeks. So yeah, we had a fall, winter, and spring CSA, and that's a really positive way to kind of sell your produce, because the farmer, you know, gets paid up front, and then you deliver food to people throughout the few weeks that it is, and so it works well for both parties, the farmer and the customer. So right now we've got sweet potatoes, corn, tomatoes, okra, things like that. A lot of summertime things. Some interesting things that we grow are different in the summertime. We do lettuce. We make sure we have shade over it. We have lettuce in the wintertime. We have shiitake mushrooms that we had spawned a long time ago when we were with Tech. We put shiitake spawn in these logs, and we're still getting that actually on a regular basis. We actually just finished our strawberries. Our strawberries just kind of went down, but we're taking cuttings from them and going to replant those in the fall. So strawberries are a really good crop for us.
The thing that we really want to do is educate the public on the value of sustainable agriculture and organic agriculture. We want people to see that locally produced foods are really healthy and tasty and better for you and better for the local economy.
I think well, organic farming in this area is a really important thing, and I think Waters Farm can help with that. There's a number of other farms that do grow, and I think, you know, the more awareness we can raise with it, the better for all of us, all the farms, you know. So at the farmers market, there's several local growers that good friends of mine and stuff, and you know, if they do well, we do well, and vice versa. So it's just kind of a building on each other of, you know, raising awareness for local foods, and then organic, you know, on top of that is even better.
I think it's pretty rewarding. People should know, you know, when you see where your food comes from and you see how it's grown, and even if you get the chance to work like I have in producing it, and just know that that's what you're putting in your body, and that's what you know, farms are employing people, and they should be run well, and if you have those good systems in place, then you have a better quality of life all around, I think.
My age group, I feel like my generation, we are kind of moving back towards that. Like, people do want to know where their food comes from, and are getting kind of tired of, you know, the way things are, you know, fast food and things like that. It's food is becoming more important to know about. So I feel pretty privileged to be kind of on the edge of that, and be like helping to grow that movement, I guess. Especially here in Tennessee and in Cookeville specifically. Even it's there's not a ton of farms, and there's not a lot of young farmers, so it's a good thing to be into.
Like, there's like all kinds of social media now, and it's easier to communicate than ever. So I think people are not so isolated as to everything that's going on. And yeah, I think when people like me, or who start working in organic farming or whatever, or people who visit these farms, that's when you see how rewarding it is and how cool it is. And, so you start telling your friends, and people get into it. Yeah.
When the majority of people think of Goodwill, their thoughts are on the great bargains they might find at their local thrift store. However, Goodwill Industries of Knoxville is a pioneer of recycling, as Live Green Tennessee discovered when they took a look at their material recovery facility in Russellville, Tennessee. East Tennessee PBS's Chris Smith brings us this story.
3 R's of recycling. That's recycle, reduce, and reuse. And of course, Goodwill is one of the original reuse. We've been doing that for 100 and some years, taking donations from the public and through our thrift stores, getting it out for reuse to the public at a low cost for clothing and household goods and other items, and using that to fund jobs programs for our clients. Then, of course, reduce. We work with various industries and partners to help them reduce the amount of product that they're sending to landfills and find new uses for it, either recycling it or additional uses to where we can move it along to another vendor that may be able to reuse it. Goodwill Industries Knoxville started their Going Green initiatives over 20 years ago with a partnership that Dr. Rosenbaum, our CEO, established with the city of Knoxville. He saw the opportunities to provide jobs for our clients in expanding our recycling operations. So over 10 years ago, we got the contract for the city of Morristown's curbside programs and purchased a material recovery facility in Russellville, Tennessee. That has grown from just a curbside program for the city of Morristown to where we process the curbside program for the city of Dandridge. We process industrial recycling for about 50 industrial customers, and we process drop-off recycling centers for 5 different counties, and also for school systems. I think we have 6 school systems now.
Several years ago, we had an opportunity to greatly expand our recycling program up in Russellville, a small community right outside of Morristown. We had been offered to bid on the city of Morristown and Hamlin County's recycling program, and there was a gentleman up there who had been running a recycling program that he owned and operated. After much negotiation, we elected to purchase the entire MRF, material recovery facility. We have grown it greatly since then. We did win both the city and the county recycling. All of the curbside was brought to now Goodwill's recycling center. In addition to that, it's been great. It's providing 20 to 25 jobs for folks up there that I can assure you most of them would not have jobs if it were not for the Goodwill Recycling Center up there. It's something that, again, we take a lot of pride in that part as much as the recycling of materials.
A lot of people just think that Goodwill is just another retail store, another thrift store, someplace to find a hidden treasure. Actually, it's much more than that. Goodwill provides vocational training and services for people with barriers to employment. Our goal is to help people become self-sufficient, take care of themselves, their families, through the power of work. So what your trash might be is actually another man's treasure, which is fabulous because that allows us to have our thrift stores. Any other items that are recyclable, they go out and they come to our recycling center to be processed and recycled responsibly, which is fabulous. But Goodwill also helps in that, you know, while sorting and pricing and going through your items, these things are providing job training opportunities. People may need to learn basic job skills, so we help them with that sometimes. Other people are looking to brush up on other skills. And so every part of Goodwill goes back to our mission. Everything we do is to help people find employment and to gain the skills they need to keep and maintain employment.
The biggest part of our mission is job training for people with a barrier to employment. And as we started looking for additional things, Dr. Rosenbaum realized that the recycling industry is a good outlet for jobs for people with barriers to employment. So we started looking for opportunities to expand our recycling operations, and we got into operating the material recovery facility and getting contracts with industries and cities and counties to generate the material to provide jobs for these folks.
I came through one of Goodwill's programs and just progressed from there. I went through driver training, learned how to drive a truck, forklifts, just to learn how to do a little bit of everything here. I never really thought about recycling until I came up here and started working up here, and it actually did change my perspective of it.
The poundage that's processed through this facility alone is in excess of 14 million pounds per year. and that counts all the different programs we're doing for curbside recycling, and everything is processed here. Then, in addition to that, we have our textile recycling that we do at the Knoxville warehouse, and items, electronics recycling through our Dell warehouse program, where we process electronics computer-wise and all for recycling. And then our partnerships with the various cities for their drop-off programs. So we recycle a total of over 47 million pounds per year.
I think over the last 12 years since I've been with Goodwill, I've seen significant growth and progress in our ability to keep things out of the landfill. It's something that became very important to us after Dr. Rosenbaum, kind of gave the word and said, this is what we want to do, this is going to be our initiative and our mission, and this is really part of what we do, and we're going to incorporate it all. Things have grown leaps and bounds since then. We have very little trash compared to what we had when I first started working. We find a way to reuse and recycle almost everything that we get, which is just amazing. There aren't too many other operations, nonprofit or otherwise, that are able to say that. Anything that we find that we can do to better the environment and to help keep things cleaner, and also to provide training opportunities and employment for our clients, we're going to try to do it. And I think the momentum among all the staff is that we're going to continue down that path for a very long time.
The Tennessee Association of Conservation Districts and USDA Natural Resource Conservation Service held a conference in the Upper Cumberland to educate local farmers about the significance of soil health. WCTE's Desiree Duncan was able to chat with the soils guy, Ray Archuleta, and share his knowledge.
What we're doing is we are teaching about soil health. It's this movement that is driven by farmers, our conservation partners, and our CS. We're driving this movement, and it's driven by the fact of understanding that we are teaching our people to have understanding how the soil is connected, and it's an ecosystem, it's a habitat, and that it is elegant, and it's elaborate, and it's beautiful, and we're teaching farmers how to work with it and to understand it. So we're in simplicity, we're teaching farmers how to farm in nature's image. We are saying this is where farming is going to go to, that we cannot be dependent on these petroleum-based products, and that we have to use less of them. And it's also impacting our climate, it's impacting our water, it's impacting our environment. So what we're saying is, if we farm more like nature, we can bring healing to the land. And that's what this is about, bringing healing to the land and connecting people back to the land.
From Ray especially, this is these ideas that he's talking about have been a part of the sustainable and organic growing philosophy for a long time. And it's just becoming mainstream because of people like Ray. When the NRCS begins to use those principles and promulgate those principles into the general farming public, then we know we've gone through a barrier, a Rubicon, if you will. We've gone from the concept of the soil of a farm as just a place to grow plants to a system that emulates nature and is really a part of the natural systems. Once that happens, then we truly begin to move into a future of sustainable agriculture, so that we pass down this soil, these farms, this environment to the future, and not just use it up for our own benefit. So it really is a great thing.
One of the most important things I want farmers to walk away with is understanding the power of connectedness, understanding how to observe and to become a student of nature, to watch that nature that it works in wholes and it works in patterns, and that we're teaching farmers how to pick up those skills, and we're teaching them the basic principles of agroecology. Agroecology is using the tools like grazing, or you may use chemical fertilizer, or you may use herbicides, but you use them with great discretion. You don't use them very frequently. You focus on the ecology You focus on understanding. You don't want to use these tools capriciously. And that's what agroecology is, tying all the sciences together and using cattle, using cover crops, using those tools instead of using the fertilizers and the herbicides and the pesticides. We're trying to use the natural system. We want goats to express their goatness. We want cows to express their cowness. What we want to do is understand what that animal needs in the system, but also how they contribute to the ecosystem. Don't go out there and till it to death. Don't go spray it to death. Understand it. That's what this movement's about. And then healthy soil comes to healthy plants, healthy animals, and clean water, and a healthy watershed. That's what this is all about. It's all connected. It's all one.
From the talk today, the soil, just the importance of keeping it, covered. The soil is a really important thing. So we do cover cropping. We have done that in the past, and we try to do that whenever we have we harvest out a block, and then we'll try to come back through and cover crop it after that to kind of build up the nutrients again and keep it covered is one of the main things. So yeah, that was really encouraging to hear and to be reminded of.
The soil is the major substrate, the major matrix where the water gets clean. It's when the moment that raindrop lands on top of that soil, it starts to filtrate, and the organisms will, like for example, when they have that process, they'll eat those pollutants, they will degrade them. So the soil is like this giant, how would you say, giant stomach, where it digests and it filtrates and it takes care and it buffers. So the soil is the most powerful way that we clean our waters. So that's what the soil was designed to do. So we cause these pollutants because we put too much chemical fertilizer or we put too much manure and the soil's not covered. So what we're saying is cover that soil and help it function so that it can do those functions like clean the water for us, which is very important for us.
It was recognized in the early 1970s that qualitative water was important, that access to water was critical to economic development and the availability of good, clean water. A series of cooperatives were created across the United States over the decades since then that brought members together that invested in these systems and got a good bit of financing from the federal government, primarily through the Rural Utilities Service Agency. Now there are millions of rural Americans that have safe, high-quality drinking water because of the investment of the federal government and the private sector individuals in their water systems.
A lot of speakers have been just pushing sustainable agriculture. It's like the only way to save resources and actually be able to use all the land that is still good. And just, driving on road trips and stuff like that, you see all this farmland and you see how much farmland is out there and how much food everybody needs, and you're like, at some point we're gonna have to manage it well, to where it sticks around for future generations. So
to be engaged, become educated, be connected to the ecosystem, understand where your food's coming, start becoming a critical thinker, and that every one of us can make a difference.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Live Green Tennessee, where we take you all across the state into the farms and businesses of those who are making the move to eating fresh, living sustainably, and helping us all be more organic in our thinking and the way we live our lives as Tennesseans. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on Live Green Tennessee.
If you would like more information about Live Green Tennessee, please visit our website at livegreentv.org, where you can find everything from healthy recipes to past episodes and more. This program is brought to you in part by...
Behind every Pick Tennessee Products logo is a Tennessee farmer who brings you fresh, local food grown with the kind of pride that gets handed down through generations. From now through fall, you can find Tennessee fruits and vegetables on farms and at farmers markets near you. Find your Tennessee farmers at picktnproducts.org.
What makes our state unique? Find out on the new Tennessee Channel, a statewide initiative by your public television stations. Each program is created in Tennessee, about Tennessee, and broadcast in Tennessee.
The Tennessee Channel, Saturdays 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern and Sundays 2 to 6 p.m. Eastern, right here on your public television station.
Funding for this program is provided in part by the United States Department of Agriculture, providing leadership on food, agriculture, natural resources, and related issues based on sound public policy and efficient management.